Hello St John Fishers, Father John here with your Friday video. I'm just getting ready to celebrate the evening Mass for the Solemnity of the Ascension. So it's a Thursday evening when I'm recording this, and so I thought we would continue our little tour of the different Mass vestments, and then we'd pick up with the normal Friday video. Because they're only little, I'm going to show you two different vestments today. There is this rope belt here called a cincture. I don't know if you'll be able to see me fasten it with the way I've got the camera angled, but it basically comes around a priest's waist over his alb, and we tie off. And the cincture has two symbolic purposes. Firstly, it reminds a priest of his promise of celibacy that he's made, that he's not going to get married and have his own family, so that he can be completely dedicated to the people he's ministering to. That includes all of you in the school as well. And we pray a prayer, we remind ourselves of that promise of utter dedication to God and God's people that we've made when we put the cincture on. It also reminds us of our promise of obedience that we make to our bishop and his successors. On the day I was ordained a priest, I put my hands into the Archbishop's hands, and he asked, "Do you promise respect and obedience to me and my successors?" I said, "I do." And so that rope belt around our waist reminds us of that promise we've made to go where we're sent, to sometimes go to those places where perhaps we don't want to be sent, but someone judges that we can do a good job there, very much in the way St. Peter didn't want to go to Rome and be crucified upside down, but God, of course, had other plans, knew that out of that would come the great goodness, the great force for good that is the Church today. And then comes the stole, and the stole comes over my shoulders like this and rests like that. And this has its origins both in the Jewish prayer shawl. You'll still see Hasidic Jews wearing a shawl to pray these days. Of course, Jesus lived and died as an obedient Jew. It reminds us that our faith springs up out of Judaism, completes the promises of Judaism, and it also has its origins in the scarves of office that were worn by the officials of the Roman Empire. When I wear the stole, I'm functioning as an official of the Church, and if I'm going to confect any sacraments, say Mass, baptize someone, give the last rites, the stole is the very minimum garment that I should be wearing over any other clothes as a symbol of that office of priesthood which has been given to me by Jesus and his Church. So we've been looking in our other videos at arguments for the existence of God, ways to know God and observe his effects in this world. Sometimes you get the question, what is God's name? Does God have a name? Think back to the legendary ancient gods like Zeus, Athena, Thor. Does our God have a name like that by which we can know him? Well, God sort of sidesteps the question when it comes up in the Old Testament. We think of him appearing to Moses in the book of Exodus, in the bush that was on fire and yet not destroyed. And Moses asks, "Who are you, Lord?" And he's told, I am. I am the eternal God whose name is I am. Slightly sidestepping the question that, I'm God, that's what you need to know. And we use the word God really to give a name to all those different qualities of God that we see in this world, to give an umbrella term to describing all of God's effects in this world and the different ways that God is made present. The philosopher and theologian Thomas Aquinas, who I've quoted to you before, has a very good way of phrasing this, and all of his writings are available for free online. I'll link. I'll send an email around with a link to all the teachers if that would be a useful thing to have. But Thomas Aquinas tells us that we can't point to God, in this world. We can't point up into the sky and say, look, there's God. Rather, we use phrases like God is compassion, God is love, God is brotherhood as a way of making us see God at work within the world. The effect of God is far more important than a name, but seeing the effects of him at work in this world is so much more effective, so much more important than having a name like Zeus or Thor. Let's leave the final words to the Youth Catechism today. In order to express something about God, we use imperfect imagery and notions. So everything we say about God is subject to the reservation that our language is not equal to God's greatness. We must constantly purify and improve our speech about God. Have a good weekend, everybody. Those of you going off on study leave, don't work too hard. And I'll see you over the weekend. See you at Sunday Mass. God bless. Bye-bye.